We are live. It is Wednesday, February 26th. It's great to be live. I want to say hello from a VO's journey. People on Instagram, people on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. It's great to have you. My name is Anthony Pica. This show is all about helping the new and upcoming voiceover artists grow their business and sidestep all of the crazy things that I seem to step on. I've got my pencil, although today I have a Diet Mountain Dew. Yes, it is a change in what I normally do with my coffee, which kind of actually goes with what I'm going to be talking about today. So I'm just excited to be coming to you and saying hello and thank you for watching so much. Before we get started, today we're talking about an extremely important topic on revenue management, how voice actors keep the lights on is how I've titled this piece today. But before we get started in that, I want you to take a quick moment. If you haven't already done so, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, retweet this, get some people active and involved. If you're on Twitter, if you're on Facebook or whatever, like, whatever you can do, share this so we can get as many people as possible. But also, we are almost to 900 people. I think we're like 2 subscribers away from 900 subscribers. So we are super close to 1,000 subscribers on the YouTube channel, which I am just so overwhelmed and excited and blessed. And what I love about the people that are a part of a VO's journey, the people that are a part of the YouTube channel and Facebook and all these different places, I love the fact that you all are so active and engaged. I think that is the most amazing thing. So thank you all so much for being a part of the journey for all of us. I love it. So anyways, let's go ahead and dive in. I almost forgot, which is so silly because it's so incredible. But also, before we get started, an amazing thing. We have a brand new course, Upwork Basics, that is live on a VO's journey for you to purchase. It's a complete guide for starting and growing your business on Upwork. And what I'm even more excited about is that I've added a new instructor to the VO's Journey mix. Her name is Angela Olfest, an amazing voice actress, as well as the latest full-time person. She worked her butt off, and now she's become a full-time voice actor, and she's a top-rated seller on Upwork, and she's added her all her knowledge and wisdom and put it into a course, and she's joined the VO's Journey brand. So very excited about that. So if you're interested in growing your business on Upwork, which by the way, if you haven't noticed, is making a huge run and a huge dent in Fiverr. I don't know if you've noticed, but I have. I've heard Upwork on my in the radio. They're doing ads in the radio, for goodness sake. On, like, when I was driving in the car, I heard an Upwork radio ad. They are, which I've not heard a radio ad for Fiverr or any other online business for voiceover. So I'm really impressed with what Upwork's been doing. So, that's something to definitely check out, because that's another source of revenue. And she's done an amazing job with that course. And like I said, you can find it. There'll be a link here, in the YouTube description, as well as there'll be you could get to it on the VO's Journey page at the website. So anyways, make sure you check that out. So let's dive into today's topic: revenue management, how voice actors keep the lights on. I love this topic. Now, I don't know about you, but I love watching. Personally, I love watching shows on business, like business shows and shows about that. That's just who I am, because I love business. And an important part of certain businesses, certain service businesses, like, for example, the hotel industry or different types of businesses, is revenue management. Now, what is revenue management? What do I mean by this? Revenue management is a method of pricing your services that allows you to have constant cash flow, all right, even when you're not as busy, especially when you're not as busy. Okay, so the idea is to keep money coming into your business, all right, even when you're, especially when you're not packed. You know just as well as I do in this business that we go through moments and times where we are packed. I mean, we're swamped with work, and then there's other times where we're kind of like crickets are, they're chirping, and we're like, I wonder where everybody went, right? We go through those moments. So an important thing to remember is we want to figure out a way to get income continually coming in even in those moments. Now, here's the thing. So you're like, okay, well, why do I need that? Why? Hopefully, I've explained that, but I'll reiterate the fact that cash flow is the blood of a business. All right? It is the thing that keeps the engine running. When your cash flow stops, the engine stops, your business dies. Cash flow needs to keep coming into the business. Now, you might be, again, most of you probably, if and it might be, I don't know, but if you're watching, you might be doing this full time, or you might be doing this part time. And if you're doing this part time and you have a full time job or a part time job, that job is supplying constant cash flow so that you can continue to do this. Right? So that's something that where you're having cash flow. If you are doing this full time, this business needs to be, building or bringing in constant cash flow. All right. For obvious reasons, paying bills, et cetera, but also to keep the machine running, to keep you being able to focus and build and grow your business. Once that cash flow stops, everything comes to a halt. Now, you might be like, okay, I get that. That's simple to understand. Well, where I'm going with this is that cash flow management, or in this, we're management of your revenue, is figuring out a way to be dynamic with your pricing. Okay, now this is tricky, okay, and I want you to pay close attention. When I mean dynamic with your pricing, I don't mean being wishy-washy, but what I mean is, if you are going through a moment where you are not as busy, let's say you don't have, a queue stacked full of work, or your email's not backed up with all types of, jobs that you're working on, you start to have empty slots. You start to have time free that you're not making any money. Then you get a message from somebody who is like, hey, I want to hire you. You're like, yes, right? You give them your rate, and they're like, no, that's too much. All right. And you're like, well, that's my rate. And they're like, I can't do that. I can do it for, 75% of that. Like, you charge $100. I can do it for $75. You're like, nah, I do it for $100. I'm sorry. Okay. And no, they go. You don't get to work. So then you twiddle your fingers, and then it happens the next day where somebody's like, oh, well, this job is for $150. And you're like, great, it's $150. Like, no, I got $115. And you're like, oh, okay, I can't do that. So my price is $150. Look, I'm not telling anybody to not charge the price that they set, but I'm saying that I would rather use a revenue management type of model to where if I am not busy, if there's empty time in slots and there's no cash flow coming in, okay, I am understanding that if I use a dynamic model with my pricing that says, hey, I am not as busy right now, it makes sense for me to take on work at maybe a little bit lower of a price in order to keep the cash flow coming in. And as I get more busy again, that model goes up. And it doesn't just go down, it goes up. So if I am too busy to take on new work, I have to charge more because my time is at a premium. Does that make sense? So it's dynamic. Now, this is important. It's important that you put this down on paper. Build a plan that says, when I am here, this is what I do. So like when I have this amount of business coming in, these are the prices that I'm willing to do. Like I'm willing to take, a 25% off cut. And by the way, this is a great marketing tool as well. Okay. When I am super busy, like when I can't do any more work because I'm physically incapable because there's so much work, all right, there's going to be a 25% increase in my prices. Now, you might think, okay, well, that becomes wishy-washy, right, for customers. Well, listen, again, this is a dynamic model, and it's an understanding. It is the way economics work, right? It's supply and demand. Do not do not ignore how regular economics works, how business works, the world works. This is how it works, and it's. I think that in our business, I know for me, I have a hard time with it too, you all, is saying, okay, I know that I don't have a lot of business coming in right now, but someone wants to pay me less than what I charge. I feel like it's an attack on who I am or what I've built, right? And again, you have to go back to remember, no, it's not an attack on what you built. It's not an attack on who you are. It is one possible transaction at that time where that person, it's about them, it's not about us. It's about what that person has to offer, and we have to make a decision for our business, all right, not for our self-worth, but our business on whether we want that revenue to come into our business or not, whether we want that cash flow. I had to tell you, I think this is a perfect time. That's why I did this now. It's a perfect time to talk about this revenue management because a lot of us are going through a time where business is not as busy. I mean, you think about January, February, the winds change, economies go up and they go down. It's so important to pay attention to supply and demand. If I look on, for example, sites like Fiverr, right, the supply on Fiverr is grown exponentially, right? So that means demand is going to be not as high as the supply. And when that happens, that means that we've got to manage, all right, the pricing correctly so that we can continue to even the playing field so we can continue generating revenue. If we do not, our revenue will stop, our business will fail. So you have to be able to adjust that. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't post your rates. That's very important. But it's a good idea to jump ahead of the curve, right? And like for example, during specific times, like this is a perfect example. I know on the weekends, for me, that's when I do the least amount of work. Right? Because I do the most of the work Monday through Friday because we're a B2B business, right? We do the most of the work then. It's not a bad idea to have a post or something about a marketing thing was, listen, if you work over the weekend, now, if you don't want to work over the weekend, that's okay too. But you work over the weekend, you say, listen, weekend rates are 25% less than they are on the weekdays. And you might be like, that's insane. Why would you do that? But I want to tell you, you notice this all the time. And I'll give you an example. Have you ever been out to a restaurant and you saw marketing Tuesday nights free for kids, or Monday nights buy one get one free dinner, or Wednesdays are special this or that? Well, that's because restaurants know they're trying to build revenue during their times where there's no revenue coming in, because they know weekends might be their big business times, but Monday, Tuesday might be very slow. So they're giving people incentives to come in. Do they make as much money by offering it? No, they make a little less money, but they're making money instead of making nothing. So again, we go back to this idea of 50% of something, all right, is better than 100% of nothing, right? Like, you know what I mean? So that it's just keep that in mind, because it's so often that we see we're so strict on the price of what we do, and we're forgetting that that's not how economics works. Right? It's not how the economy works. It's not how supply and demand work. Again, I think it's super important that you put a plan together that you can follow as a guide. Do you know what I mean? But I think that if you don't do that, you know what I mean, you're going to get confused and lost. But this is just a way to release you from this horrible thing where I've got to live and die on top of that hill with my sword on that one price that I charge. Okay? Because that's not, I mean, that's not how business works. Now, you might disagree, and that's okay. Please, by all means, run your business the way you want to run it. I just think that the revenue management model and how economics works is vital to any business, because every business uses it. Like, perfect example, I've had friends who've been taking cruises recently, and they chose time to take cruises because there was, they got some deals because the cruises weren't full, so they got discounted rates because the cruise ship realized that either they were going to not have any and not be able to make any money in those places, or they could make some money as opposed to none. So it was better to make some, right? Do you understand? Just like planes do the same thing. Now, you might think, so to me, this oftentimes has to do with capacity and things like hotels or planes or cruises. You notice something here, which is the industries or like where there's spaces that are filled. But see, for me and us, I mean, to me, it's something similar, right? Because our time, if you look at it as a slot, like if you look at you work 9 to 5, right? Each hour is a slot. And each hour that you are not working is an empty slot. It's an empty slot not generating any income. So either we try to keep those slots filled with either a little bit, with either 50% of something or 100% of nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like that. So that's how I view that. And that's how in my mind, again, I'm cuckoo, right? But that's how my mind shifts over. So this is just some thoughts. And by no means, this is not probably a widely used thing in the voiceover industry. Well, actually, I think that's not true. I think a lot of people do it. We just don't talk about it very much. But I do think that it's a great way for you to keep money coming into your business. Be a little dynamic with your pricing. Don't shut people down right away if they can't pay everything that you're asking for if you are not busy with work. Right? If you're not swamped with work and you can accept work. Now, again, I think it's important here to say, too, do not accept, there's got to be a limit, right? There's got to be a place where you say, no, that's too low, right? There has to be that. That's why I'm saying write out a plan for it. All right. Well, anyways, I know this is probably one of those topics where I don't know. I might get some dislikes, and that's okay too. I love this channel because I love an idea to talk to you guys about ideas and things and to get your opinions. So I'd love to get some opinions. We've got a lot of people over on Instagram. Let's see. Thank you guys so much for joining. We've got Girly McGirl. I know who that is. We got Odark1. We got Barbara Joe. We got Omar, what's up? It's good to have you guys. Let's see, over on YouTube, we've got Flip, Ben, Marcus, Switch, Zach, David, what's up? David retweets. Thank you, David, for retweeting on YouTube. I appreciate that. Flip, we're probably so active and engaged because you make it so easy to do so. Oh, thank you, Flip. I appreciate that. Ben, I need to stop buying gear. Yeah, I hear you. Let's see, Dalton, greetings, Anthony, Shabbat. Zach says, it seems like an obvious yes, but maybe I'm wrong. Do you explain up front the reason for your price increase or decrease in case they come later and you say or accept a different price? Great, Zach. I'm glad. So what I mean by this is that when I was saying the posting, this is something that I recommend you do if you are running a special, like on the weekend or on like a weekday or certain thing. But what I'm pretty much talking about is that if someone messages you and they they offer you, so I'm not saying so much as posting this stuff. Okay, so that's where there's difference. Thank you. Great question. I'm not telling you to post this everywhere that on certain days you charge less than other days. All I'm saying for you to do is don't be afraid to accept a little bit less when you don't have any coming in. So that means if someone was to come to you and they message you and they're like, hey, listen, I have this job and I've got, $100 and you charge $125 for it. Okay. Be willing to accept it for $100 if you are not as busy, then not accepting it for the extra $25. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. So I'm not talking about going around posting everywhere, all of that stuff. Do you know what I mean? Plus, we don't really have the availability, or we don't have the option to be able to post rates like that everywhere. I mean, you could. It would be interesting to try that. But I'm more talking about having a plan separate from what to do in that. Because here's an example. I get messaged all the time, and I'm sure you do, for people who are looking to work with us, but they do not have at that moment the budget we are looking for. If we are swamped with work, all right, we can't accept that lower prices. We don't have the time, all right? We're going to lose money. But if we are not swamped with work and we have open time, we might be able to accept that at a lower price in order to make money continuously, as opposed to throwing that money away or that job away because of a few dollars. Does that make sense? So I don't want to. Great question. Thank you for asking. I'm not saying that we need to go post these, because like on a hotel registry and stuff, they would post the different prices at different times. Right? We don't usually have that luxury because it can be one of those things where we don't know. Perfect example. I have like times where I'm working and someone will message me and say, hey, I need something right now. And it's like in between jobs and it's going to take me like 15 minutes, but they can't pay the extra $50, but it's still like a $150 deal. All right. And it takes me a few minutes. I'm like, sure, I'll do it. Right. I don't charge them as much, but I have an empty slot open. I'm not going to push it away because I don't have, or they don't pay me everything. But since I have the available time, why not accept it? Okay. Now, if you've noticed, this does take some management in your time. Hey, O'Dark, tell me if you're getting sound. I don't know why you wouldn't. No, you're not getting sound. I apologize about that. I'll have to work on that. If you're not getting sound on Instagram, let me know. So anyways, great question. Thank you, Zach. I appreciate that. Alan says, AP is dead on. Thanks, man. CB, I need some wisdom about pseudonyms. I want to grow my fiction novels. Will using my name for a children's book help or hurt? Or does it matter? Should I use a pseudo? Do authors care? CB, listen, I think that if you use your name for a children's audiobook and then turn around and use it for, a book, a sultry book, it might get a little weird. It might be a little weird. So pseudonyms are great. Everyone, most everyone uses them, especially when it comes to things like that, or religious books. All right, religious audiobooks, because people want to make sure that, people are focusing on the book and not the person narrating it, you know what I mean, and what their beliefs are. So I think that, its pseudonyms are perfectly fine, and there's no problem with it at all. There's no problem with it. Now, the only thing that you could see, right, was that you'd have to understand that if you use a pseudonym, right, you're going to not be able to market that as much as you would necessarily your own name, or so you'll have to take in consideration what happens to you when you're doing it. Okay. And I think that's important to remember, but at the same time, it is like a cloak of anonymity, and it can be very nice. So yes. Let's see. Voices by Jason. Hey, Anthony, being new, I'm learning a lot from your channel. Awesome. Much appreciated. Thanks you, man. I appreciate that, Jason. Graphics Gramp. I love that name. I agree with you wholeheartedly on this. The minute I became more flexible with my prices, my workflow shot up and I was able to raise them eventually. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's another thing I tell everybody too about raising your prices. You know what I mean? You don't raise your prices until you are swamped with work, right? Because again, just the supply and demand, stick that somewhere in your office or on your computer or up on the wall. Supply and demand, right? That's economics since the beginning of economics, at the beginning of time, right? The more supply they are, the less demand there is. The more demand, all right, the less supply. That's how you can, make money no matter where you are in the market. That's why every single price, like food prices go up and down, right? Everything goes up and down depending on the supply and the demand. All right, in the economy. So we have to be less rigid if we want revenue to continuously flow in. Or did I say that right? We have to be less rigid, right? Okay. Okay, let's see. Tom says, CB, I suggest using different names for kids' books and erotica, right? That's what I was saying. Angela says, Tom, these books are referred to as juicy in this group. Pseudonyms can be your friend. CB, thanks. Not sultry fiction. Oh, come on. Sultry. All right, juicy. Fine, juicy. That's just, I don't like saying that. Juicy. It's weird. It's weird. It's Angela. Troy says, how do you feel about offering subscription-based VO services to regular customers? How would Fiverr and other P2P sites view us offering? Troy, I actually have thought about this idea much. A while ago, I thought about it, and I thought it'd be a really great thing. And so basically, it's like a voiceover artist on retainer. You know what I mean? You know, you get paid a monthly, you charge a business a monthly fee, and for that monthly fee, you offer 10 voiceovers at 150 to 300 words in perpetuity. You know what I mean? That they with full buyouts, in perpetuity. So I mean, like I like the idea. I think the uphill battle you have to fight is exactly what you said, is that you have these sites that no one operates like that really right now. So you'd have to, in essence, educate a whole new type of model. I don't think it's impossible. I think it's pretty cool. People really like subscription models, but it's being able to find the people that are interested in it, branding yourself, making your business look like that's like a complete. So part of our challenge, right? Why I think online websites are so successful is part of our challenge as single entrepreneurs or freelancers is that it's difficult for us to compete with the level of what am I looking for? Sophistication and build out that these sites have and these businesses and their infrastructure, right? When there's just us and half of what most of us are working another job. So we can't even take people, we can't even answer people all the time quickly. And there's nobody to call on the phone, right? Like, it's, so you have to take consideration when you're building a model like this, because I've thought it through a loads. Now that doesn't mean you shouldn't go for it. Just think about, I'd get like a piece of paper or your computer or whatever, and just write down a whole bunch of things that you think, someone would, be interested in this, the reason why someone would be interested in the service, and then write down, a whole list of things that you think would be challenges in, giving that service to the world. Right. And then, just start working through that list. Again, I think the biggest challenge for me would be figuring out how to build an infrastructure around that to where, you're going to be able to manage businesses, because you're going to need someone who can manage like the customer service aspect of that, because that would be a very, I could tell you firsthand, because the customer service aspect of subscription business is so important. You've got to be able to work with people if there's something wrong with their account, if the payment structure, how are they going to pay you? Like there's all that stuff. Now it's all there. You can figure it all out. It's just, you've got to think about those things. You got to put all of that in place. You got to invest all that money and time before you offer your services. Or you're going to get a bad name for yourself and you'll be done before you even start. And that's just my 2 cents on it. But I think it's cool that you brought it up, because I have thought a lot about that actually. Okay, let's see. Angela's laughing. Christopher says, I thought they were romantic. Oh, good. I'm glad you guys can hear me now over on Instagram. Thanks, Tom and Angela. Margaret says, with those clients that started with you at that said lower rate, how often have you gotten stuck and said at said rate? and eventually had to fire them. This current client is good to me, but there's no ROI. So Marcus, that's another great question. A few times, honestly speaking, a few times where I was building my business and I was working with someone and it became impossible for me to move forward with them because of the price difference at the time, where I was so busy with people paying more money that it was just not, it wasn't fair to the people, and I couldn't do it without losing money, right? And hurting the business. So there were times where I have to do that. I've had to do that a couple times, and it's usually not pretty. Sometimes it's fine. Sometimes it's fine. But I do recommend that if you have those long-term clients, do your very best to keep them, right? Because, it's one thing to get a job once. It's another thing to get a job over and over and over and over again. You know what I mean? I have a client who I work with, and I've done maybe, it's a podcast client that I work with, and I charge them a lot less than I charge everyone else. However, they order the same amount, which is so it's a good price point, right? It's a good price point, so it's not like a low amount, but they come back to like 2 times a month, and they're spending $300 to $500 with me a month. So I am happily willing to, and it works out really well. And I'm happy to do what I'm doing with them, and I'm sure they're happy with my service. So sometimes it's okay to keep a client, you know what I mean, for the long term. But if the time comes where you cannot do that, you gotta. But my suggestion is approach the client and let them know. Do you know what I mean? Let them know about the dilemma. You know what I mean? I think it's so good to be open and honest with your clients. I know some people disagree with that. I just think honesty is so much easier, even if it hurt, even if people are pissed off with you, it's still easier than trying to weave a web of lies about why you're doing something. All right. So that's just my opinion. That was good. That was a good question. Let's see. Tom says, Chris, romance can be a different genre. That's true. Romance is not the same as juicy, if you want to say. One is like a graphic, do you know what I mean? Like graphic descriptions, and the other one is more of a love story without the graphic in-betweens. Troy, for thanks, would Fiverr be threatened by me offering subscriptions and cut me off after they discover? No. I don't, none of those businesses, honestly, Troy, and I say this out of love, but none of those businesses are going to. Now, let me make this clear. If you go out and do this on your own, no one is going to care, right? No one's going to care because they don't even know you. I mean, they might care one day if you build like an empire and you shut them all down, but no one's going to care. No one's going to care. They most likely won't even know you're doing it. However, if you do it through the platform, okay, then that's something different. All right. But at the same time, I don't know. They might not care either because you're bringing them money. So I don't know. It's a good question. I would not personally. I wouldn't do it through the platform. If I was going to do something like that, I would build my own thing. Just because if you're subject to rules and you're trying to recreate the rules, does that make sense? It's not. That's usually never pretty. I wish you the best, Troy. Keep us posted. I'm interested what you decide to do. You could figure out something, you know what I mean? Maybe something easier like three voiceovers a month and they're discounted rates, right? As long as you purchase, 3 months up front. Like a 3-month package, you get 10 voiceovers, and it's at 70% of the price that you would pay for 100%, for all like 100%. So I don't know, give it a shot, try some things out. All right, you guys, listen, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time today. Thank you for listening. Hopefully this has been helpful and give you some thought about making sure that cash flow is constantly coming into your business. And if you're not busy, don't be afraid to be a little bit more dynamic with your pricing when people are asking, when people are trying to get business from you. Also, just as a reminder, if you haven't had a chance to subscribe, hit that bell notification so you know when there's a new video or I go live. Also, check out the new Upwork Basics course. It's fantastic by Angela Olfest, and there'll be a link again here in on the YouTube description as well as on Avio's Journey website. So I hope you pick that up and check it out. It's really awesome. And yeah, I'm really excited about the future here. So we've got tomorrow is ACX Thursday. So make sure you come with all of your questions and comments and ideas. And we'll talk about audiobooks and talk about a business that's like growing crazy. It's audiobooks, and I have an amazing idea to share with you guys tomorrow about a way that you can corner your own market with audiobooks. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. And let's see, any other stuff. I have a tech background, so I have the back end covered. Nice. I will keep you posted. Awesome, Troy. David says I'm going to a very large home show in my area this weekend. I don't carry a lot of clients in my area right now, so I'm bringing with me coupons for a free 30-second ad. I love it. I love it, David. I love it. That's awesome. That's awesome. I don't think we do that enough. I know I don't. So, all right, you guys, thank you so much. You have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day. I will talk to you tomorrow. Goodbye. Goodbye.